Let's face it, in life there are two types of money problems: not having enough and having too much. Now hopefully most people end up having the second problem, having too much. When it comes to money, you will often hear sentiments like, the wealthy invest first and spend what is left over, while the middle class will likely spend first and attempt to invest whatever is left. Now in this final module, we are going to explore 9 of the characteristics that differentiate millionaires from the middle class. First, all millionaires use a mindset that focuses on the outcomes of their actions. They set out to accomplish their goals with purpose, intent, and focus, and will stop at nothing to achieve them. They are driven by the results of their actions. The person who makes one attempt at something, fails, and then gives up is not outcome driven. We like this quote by Michael Jordan, who definitely knows what it is like to fail but never give up. And I quote, "If you're trying to achieve, there will be roadblocks. I've had them. Everybody's had them. But obstacles don't have to stop you. If you run into a wall, don't turn around and give up. Figure out how to climb it, go through it, or work around it." Now here's a personal favorite of mine. Above all, remember this quote: leaders do not mistake actions for results. Now really think about what we just said there. Leaders do not mistake actions for results. In other words, a lot of people do a lot of actions but don't get the outcomes that they were looking for. So make sure your actions equal the results that you're targeting. The second tactic that millionaires employ to grow their wealth is often to imitate the success of others. Dell is great at imitating, not innovating. So who are you copying? Who are you following? So stop making success so complex. As Anthony Robbins says, find the top experts in any given field and model them exclusively. In other words, don't take financial advice from your mechanic and don't take mechanical advice from your doctor. The third quality millionaires possess is their willingness and ability to take action. Here's how Bill Gates sees it. You don't have to get it right, you just have to get it going. And I think Windows is the epitome of that example. You will often hear in the network marketing industry, "I'm looking for like-minded individuals." Call me crazy, but if 97% of the people in that industry are failing, we wouldn't want to be like that, now would we? You can make an improvement by finding action-minded people, but let's face it, the ultimate is self-starting, results-oriented people. One of our key objectives should be to add at least 3 action-oriented people to our team in the next couple of weeks and train them how to get the results that we're looking for. Leave the crowd of people who talk about success forever but can barely pay their rent. Start getting people around you that go for it. Start talking less and doing more. Here's what Andrew Carnegie had to say about this. "As I grow older, I pay less attention to what men say, I just watch what they do." So the fourth thing the wealthy understand that the middle class often does not is that people form habits, but habits form futures. Now this is massive. It's easier to be disorganized, irresponsible, undirected, and at the mercy of poor habits. One of my old-time favorite quotes is this: "The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results." The first time I heard that I had to chuckle because it sounded a little too familiar. Now mediocrity is the bane of most people's lives because the habits they've fallen into do not serve them. If your current habits are leading to procrastination, then you're allowing yourself to be robbed. In fact, action without planning is always the cause of failure. The fifth attribute that sets them apart is that the rich act with a sense of urgency. Most people are very passive. They go for their dreams very safely. In fact, they tiptoe through life to arrive safely at their graves. Whereas the wealthy have a sense of urgency to accomplish their tasks. They're attacking versus waiting. It's like Abraham Lincoln once said, "Things may come to those who wait, but only things left by those who hustle." Another key that differentiates millionaires is that they are consistent. Get in the habit of performing consistently. You're either consistent or you're non-existent. People who are very successful do things which move them towards their goals. They set aside time each and every day to make phone calls, follow up, communicate with their team, and check relevant emails. On the other hand, this does not mean shuffling papers on your desk or reading your personal email messages, taking time out to call girlfriend, boyfriends, wives, and kids. Full-timers should be setting aside 4 or more hours every day to build their business. During this time, you do nothing except the most important income-generating activities. Part-timers, on the other hand, should spend 1 to 2 hours every day initiating contact with their coach. And as Dale Carnegie said, do the hard jobs first. The easy jobs will take care of themselves. The seventh key lies in correcting a misperception. Most gurus say, think big. We prefer to say, think small. What this means is small, positive adjustments can make massive financial differences in your life. Jim Rohn put it best. You don't have to change that much for it to make a great deal of difference. A few simple disciplines can have a major impact on how your life works out in the next 90 days, let alone in the next 12 months. This means if you're making $1,200 a month, set your goal for $2,000. When making $3,000 a month, go up to $5,000, and so on. The only way to succeed is to stay disciplined in taking small steps. After all, no athlete attempts to improve their 10-foot long jump to 11 feet the very next day. They move up from 10.1 to 10.2 and increase their distance gradually. Start focusing on the next step. Confusion kills momentum and desire. Here's what Ralph Emerson said about it. All great masters are chiefly distinguished by their power of adding a second, a third, and perhaps a fourth step in a continuous line. Now think about it. Doesn't that sound kind of like the assembly line or the franchise? Which is basically the essence of what we're doing here. And as everybody knows, I do like Henry Ford, and his quote is, "Nothing is particularly hard if you divide it into small jobs." Like we said before, we don't go to college after the first grade, so success is all about the steps. The 8th way that millionaires double their wealth is by focusing on reward. Whoever has the strongest focus wins. So if what you're focusing on is taking you further away from your goals, then you need to fix your focus. It's kind of like driving across the country. If you're not heading directly at your target and you keep going sideways, you better get that map out and reevaluate where you're heading. And finally, the 9th major reason. Millionaires guard their time like a hawk. They don't waste any of it. You can usually tell how successful someone is by how much they respect their time. In fact, it's the only commodity you can't get back. You can always get back money, you can always get back a house, but you can never get back the time that you have. Forget all that time management mumbo-jumbo, which is so often talked about. Instead, focus on managing your actions. So here's a hint. If a person is wealthy or if a person is busy and successful, that person will always be open to great products, especially if it can either generate cash flow or free up their time in the future. Don't allow other people to take up your time and break your concentration when they feel like it. This means cutting out distractions when you're working and prioritizing your actions. So I often ask people, do you want to dabble in this industry or do you want to become an expert? Remember how long it takes to become a doctor or a brain surgeon? What if you had that same level of income as that brain surgeon with under 2 years with virtually no training in comparison? That'd be pretty awesome. This is why we've encouraged people to consider this more of a career than an opportunity. It truly is financially rewarding. George Herbert Allen said, "People of mediocre ability sometimes achieve outstanding success because they don't know when to quit. Most men succeed because they are determined to." Here are some of our favorite quotes. "Once you've learned to quit, it becomes a habit." Vince Lombardi. Think about that one. That one really struck me as powerful. If you're willing to give up on your dreams, there's not much anyone else can do, so never learn to quit. As I said on the Apollo 13, failure is not an option. The next is by Thomas Edison. "Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time." Could you imagine if we didn't have the light bulb if he didn't go ahead and keep trying? Or as William Durant put it, forget past mistakes, forget failures, forget everything except what you're going to do now and do it. As my favorite koala Oprah says, "I have found no greater satisfaction than achieving success through the honest dealing and strict adherence to the view that, for you to gain, those you deal with should gain as well." Now in closing, my particular favorite comes from Albert Einstein, and I quote, "Great spirits have often been met with violent opposition by mediocre minds." So I hope that all the great spirits who have listened to this training to the end will laugh in the face of mediocre minds and rise to the occasion. So everyone take care of each other, and remember to always keep things fun, otherwise we'd be missing the point to what a healthy life's all about. And our final quote, "What material success does is provide you with the ability to concentrate on the other things that really matter, and that is being able to make a difference not only in your life, but in other people's lives as well." Sir Richard Branson, my particular favorite high school dropout who's now a billionaire. Don't let anything stop any of you. Take care.